Now, in our previous lecture we have introduced the concept of a linear system of algebraic equations and an eigenvalue problem. We have also given some properties of the matrices which we shall be using in our applications. We have also defined a direct method and an iterative method. Let us first of all start with the direct methods. Before we actually discuss or derive some methods, we would like to state that if the matrix A of this Ax is equal to B, our system of linear algebraic equations has some special properties, then the solution can be obtained almost trivially. Directly you can apply without any computations. Why we want to discuss those cases is, all the numerical method that we are going to construct would reduce the given system to that particular form from which the solution can be obtained easily. Now, let us first of all take the case when A is a diagonal matrix. So, A is equal to D, a diagonal matrix. That means, what we are talking of here is the matrix A11, A22, so on ANN. This A, and we have the vector x1, x2, xn, and right hand side vector we have b1, b2, bn. Now, we can see that this is a very trivial case, because from the first equation we have A11 is x1 is b1, therefore, x1 is determined immediately. Similarly, x2 is determined from the next equation. So, I have the solution of the problem as simply xi is equal to bi by ai I. Now, this is a direct application of this, that when A is of the form of a diagonal matrix, the solution is very trivially obtained. Now, let us take the another case when A is of the form L, a lower triangular matrix. L, a lower triangular matrix, and therefore, the system is of the form L11, or let us take A11, A21, A22, A31, A32, A33, AN1, AN2, so on ANN. We have the vector x1, x2, xn, b1, the right hand side vector b1, b2, bn. Now, we can see that we can solve the first equation as A11 x1 is equal to b1, that is x1 is equal to b1 upon A11. Then I can take the second equation, that is A21 x1 plus A22 x2 is equal to b2. Therefore, x1 is known, so it goes to the right hand side, and x2 will immediately be determined. X2 is 1 upon A22 of b2 minus A21 x1. So, I can take this A21 x1 to the right hand side, since it is known, and I can proceed the computation like this. Now, I can obtain the third unknown, we can obtain the last unknown. So, the last equation, by the time we have arrived at the last equation, x1, x2, xn minus 1, all of them have been computed. So, all of them can be taken to the right hand side. Therefore, from the last equation I would get xn is 1 upon ann and the right hand side bn, and all these terms go to the right hand side, an1 x1 minus an2 x2, so on. The last but one term is a minus sign, this is a minus sign, an n minus 1 xn minus 1. Therefore, in this case also we are able to solve the system without any computation, except that we start with the first variable and then come forward. Therefore, we shall call this as a forward substitution method. It is a substitution. So, we will call this as a forward substitution method. The only computation that are involved is these n divisions that we are making and the multiplications and subtractions that we are making. We are not doing any further computations, special computations, except these divisions and multiplications, straightforward multiplications. So, in this case also this solution is trivial. Now, let us take the third case. We will take now the matrix A is of the form U, an upper triangular matrix. Therefore, the matrix system would now look like A11, A12, so on A1n, A22, A2n, so on we have ANN. We have the vector x1, x2, xn, and the right hand side vector b1, b2, bn. Now, we can see that this system can also be obtained in the same way, but we start from the last equation. So, if I take the last equation, let us take the last equation which gives me ANN xn is equal to bn. That means, I can solve the last equation for the variable xn, bn upon ann. Then I go backwards, then take the previous equation. The previous equation will read an minus 1 n minus 1 xn minus 1, that is the diagonal element, and the last element is an minus 1 n xn is equal to bn minus 1. Now, xn is determined. So, this goes to the right hand side. I can find xn minus 1 from here, as xn minus 1 is 1 upon a n minus 1 n minus 1, and the right hand side bn minus 1 minus a n minus 1 n xn. So, we can proceed on like this, we can work backwards and get the previous value xn minus 2 and so on x2 then x1. So, when I land up into the first equation, it will then read like, the first equation will read like a11 x1, a12 x2, a1 n xn is equal to b1. That is our first equation. Now, all these variables x2, x3, xn, they have all been determined by now. So, they all go to the right hand side, and therefore, I have the solution for x1 is 1 upon a11 b1 minus a12 x2 plus so on a1 n xn. Now, in this case also, therefore, the solution is very straightforward, almost trivial. Starting from the last equation going backwards, we shall give a name for it as the back substitution method or backward substitution method. So, we shall call this as back substitution, or we shall also sometimes use backward substitution method. Now, before we take up the actual methods, it would also interesting to know that we from our earlier years, we know that there are two ways of solving a problem. One is the Cramer's rule that we can apply, and other is the inverse method. And why that those methods should not be is not applicable for larger systems. Let us have a look at it. If I solve this system of equations by Cramer's rule, we are solving the system Ax is equal to b. If we are solving, we know that the solution of this problem can be written as xi is equal to determinant of ai divided by determinant of ai, where ai is a in which the ith column is replaced by b. We are denoting the matrix ai as a in which the ith column is replaced by b, and I can now find out the values of all the variables x1, x2, xn by just evaluating these determinants. Therefore, to use Cramer's rule, I need to evaluate n determinants which are in numerator and one determinant which in the denominator. Therefore, I need to evaluate n plus 1 determinants of order n. So, each of them is of order n. Now, we know that if I want to expand the determinant by the method that we know, that means finding the cofactors minus multiplying and simplifying it, it will take almost factorial n operations for the total computation. We can see that if the matrix system is of the order of 50 by 50 or 100 by 100, almost impossible for us to solve by the Cramer's rule that many operations. Therefore, as by the method that we know, the Cramer's rule cannot be applied. Therefore, if I want to apply Cramer's rule, I must know an alternative method of evaluating the determinant in a much more simpler fashion if I want to use the Cramer's rule. However, if I can find such a method, I can find still simpler methods which give me the solution itself directly rather than using the Cramer's rule. And the same thing holds if we are using the other concept of finding x is equal to A inverse of b. The discussion that we made for Cramer's rule holds also here, because A inverse has got the determinant, the definition of A inverse is adjoint of A divided by determinant of A. Therefore, here also we have got a evaluation of one determinant and all the cofactors of the matrices that we have n square cofactors to be determined. Therefore, the computation as we know also is of enormous magnitude and it is almost impossible for us to use for a 50 by 50 or a 100 by 100 system. Therefore, we need alternate methods to even compute inverse or the determinant or the solving the system of equations itself.
Which one is better in between the inverse and
No, none of them would work for large systems. If you take a 50 by system and by the method you know finding all the cofactors, then writing the adjoint and divine determinant, if you go by 60 by system, even few days of computer time would not be sufficient for us to solve such a system. Therefore, we need much simpler methods which can give us inverse as well as determinant, and any one of the methods can be chosen. In fact, if you have a problem in which you are solving a problem with more than one right hand side, then it would be easier for me to solve for A inverse once, keep it, store it, and then the right hand sides can be different side can be used, that is A inverse B1, A inverse B2, A inverse B3, so on. Once we determine it, we can have the solution in that case, and that is a practical problem also. Suppose you take a very simple problem of Poisson equation, the solving in a circular rectangle with different boundary conditions by a finite difference method. What it would produce you a linear system of equations. Since the boundary conditions are changed, right hand sides only change. Therefore, the coefficient matrix A is always the same. Therefore, in such problems I would prefer to find an inverse by a suitable procedure, then I can find A inverse of B1 as a solution. So, for different boundary conditions I can have A inverse B2 and so on. But for a single problem, then I will not go for this method or for the Cramer's rule. I would go in for a better method which would give me the computations in much less amount of time. The first method that we would do in this direction is called the Gauss elimination method. Gauss elimination method. So, what we have here is our system of equations Ax is equal to b. Then I will write down the augmented matrix So, I will write the augmented matrix for this system. The augmented matrix is A B. What the Gauss elimination procedure tries to do is to reduce this system to an equivalent system. What this will do is the Gauss elimination will attempt to do is to reduce A into an upper triangular form, and in this procedure B gets changed to a new vector Z, where U is upper triangular. So, we shall reduce an augmented matrix into this particular form where U is upper triangular and Z is the changed vector of B. Now, when once this is an equivalent system, that means the solution of this is same as the solution of this, then I can find the solution of this by the back substitution method which we have just now described, because U is upper triangular. Therefore, I can get from here the solution x by back substitution. I can obtain the solution from here by using the back substitution method that we have just now discussed. Therefore, the procedure would be how to get this particular augmented matrix from the original system A B. We shall obtain this particular augmented matrix by using simply the elementary row transformations. So, the elimination procedure uses elementary transformations, elementary row transformations. Now, let us describe what is an elementary row transformation. The elementary row transformation is some of the transformation which you already know, that from any given row of a matrix I can add or subtract a constant multiple of another row. That means, if I have a row R I, we will call it row R I is the ith row. If I describe R I as the ith row, then R I getting replaced by R I minus C R j, where C is a constant, positive or negative constant, positive or negative number. From row R I we are subtracting a constant multiple, adding or subtracting constant multiple C of R j, another row, and this shall be called an elementary row transformation. Obviously, R j is not changed, because R j is not, it is only R I that is changing, R j is not changed. Now, I would use this elementary transformation to reduce the matrix A B augmented matrix to the new augmented matrix U and Z. The two systems are called equivalent. We say that this is equivalent to this, that means all the properties that A B this augmented matrix has, this augmented matrix also has the same properties, including the value of the determinant. If I reduce this A to U, the upper triangular matrix, the diagonal, let us now write down what is determinant of U. The determinant of U would be product of diagonal elements, because U is upper triangular. Since U is upper triangular, it will be of the form U11, U22, elements here, UNN, these are all zeros. So, if I find the determinant of this simply U1, U22, UNN. Therefore, the property of A will be retained here, that the determinant of A will be simply equal to U1, U23, UN. Therefore, that is what we mean by saying that all the properties of A, B are carried over to this equivalent system. These are equivalent systems. Now, we can also use other elementary row transformations. That means, the other elementary transformations which we shall use are R I is interchanged with R j. That means, we are interchanging two rows, that means, we are interchanging two equations. When we talk of row, we are including B also. So, we are talking of the row of the augmented matrix. So, it would include both A as well as the component of the right hand side vector. The another elementary transformation is alpha, you can multiply any row by alpha, that means say alpha is a constant, alpha is a constant. Multiply means it is also division. So, there is R I by alpha this. So, we can multiply a row or divide a row by a constant this, but we must be careful about these two transformations in the sense that some properties of A gets changed. For example, if you are talking of the determinant, if I interchange two rows, I know the value of the determinant gets changed by a minus sign. So, when I am doing these interchanges, the such interchanges will make the value of the determinant of a different sign possibly. Similarly, if I multiply a row by alpha, the determinants gets multiplied by alpha, or if I divide a row by alpha, the value of the determinant also gets divided by alpha. So, the property of the determinant gets changed when you use these two elementary transformations, but however, if you keep track of the number of interchanges you are making or the factors that you are multiplying or dividing, then I would be able to give the determinant also, so that that property also would not change. Now, let us describe now what is the Gauss elimination procedure. So, let us take our system of equations A11, A12, A1n, A21, A22, A2n, B1, B2, AN1, AN2, ANN. Bn. Now, in the first step what we do, we use this element A1 and make all these elements at 0 by multiplying by suitable factor. I would like to use the operation Ri, I would like to use this operation Ri minus Crj to bring these zeros over here. Like for example, if I multiply this by A21 by A11 and subtract, this becomes 0, then all these elements gets changed. Similarly, I can multiply this by A31 by A11, subtract, I get a 0. Lastly, if I multiply this by AN1 divided by A11, subtract, I get a 0. So, in the first step I will use this first element or the first equation and then eliminate all the elements in the first column to 0 by using the elementary transformations. So, that is our step 1. We will say using A11, eliminate the remaining elements in the first column using the elementary row transformations.
Sir, if A11 is 0,
that is a special case, we will discuss it. Yes, that is an important case we are going to discuss at the end of this using the elementary row transformations. That means, if we are eliminating it, what we are really doing here is that the new A21 becomes 0. Let us call the new element A22, let us give us a superfix to it and let us call it as A11, the new element that is obtained from A22. So, what we are doing here is A22, from this we are subtracting, we are multiplying this element by this factor, we are multiplying this A12 by this factor and subtracting from this. So, that is the value of this new element. So, similarly, I will have this next element A23 gets changed as A21 upon A11 into A13. So, we are using the same factor A21 by A11 multiplying the next element here, multiplying the next element in this as A13 element here, and subtract from this to get our new element A23, and so on. We will have A2n1, that is this element will be A2n minus A21 upon A11 into A1n, and B2, the right hand side also gets changed as B2 minus A21 upon A11 into B1. Now all these elements are changed. Now we proceed on this particular elementary row operation procedure until the last. So if I go to the last row will now become this factor 0, and this will become a n 2 of 1 is a n 2 minus a n 1 upon a 1 1 into a 1 2. So this is made 0. So I am multiplying with a n 1 divided by a 1, that is a factor that I am using to make this 0. So I will have this as a n 1 upon a 1 1 into a 1 2, subtract it, I have a new element. Similarly the next element a n 2 a n 3 of 1 is a n 3 minus a n 1 upon a 1 1, the same factor a 1 3. And lastly I will have a n n is a n n minus a n 1 upon a 1 1 into a 1, and the right hand side b n 1 is equal to b n minus a n 1 upon a 1 1 into b 1. Therefore, we have now produced zeros in the first column except for the first element, and all the elements are get changed. Now these numbers you can see when we are applying for this second row that we are completing, we are multiplying by the same quantity a21 by a11 a2 by a11. When I go to the last row I am going to a n1 by a n1 this. Therefore each row has got one multiplier that is being used. These the quantities I have put in the brackets, they are all called multipliers. They are called the multipliers for this particular elimination. Now if I complete this particular step 1, what I am now having here is a system which would look now like this. So let us just write down what is the system that we are going to get from here. The first row is unchanged because we are not touched the first row. So a11 a12 a13 a1n b1, that was not touched. So this has become a 0, this has become a22 of 1, this has become a23 of 1, this is a21 of 1, b2 of 1. So I have a 0 here, all these elements. So I have a 0 here, a n 2 of 1, a n 3 of 1, a n n of 1, b n of 1. Now the step 1 is over, that I have produced zeros in the first column except for the first element 1 1 element. Now I proceed to step 2. Now I will move to the right, that is I move to the second column. I will use the diagonal element 2 2 element leaving the first row because the operation of the first row is over. So I would now take the second row. Now I will choose this as my main element, use this and eliminate the remaining elements in that column to zeros, bring those elements to zeros. Therefore step 2 will be use a2 to 1 and eliminate the remaining elements in the second column to 0. Now let us see how it looks like, because I will not repeat it, because what we have done it is repeated. Now let us see how the system is going to look like after this particular step. So it is now the first row is unchanged, so that stays as it is. The second row is this second row is unchanged, so it will retain as A22 of 1, A23 of 1, A2n of 1, B2. Now I have a 0 here. Now this has been made as 0. This element changes as A3 through. Now we will put superfix as 2. I will have A3n superfix of 2. This is B3. Now B3 of 1, B2 of 1, B3 of 2. Now I have got zeros over here. I got zeros over here, and now I have got the elements over here. This is your A4 3 2 and so on. This is your AN3 2, ANN 2, BN of 2. So after the second step, I would then have this as my new matrix. Now this is the matrix that has now we shift it to the right to the next column, and we repeat this for n minus 1 stages. So when we do n minus 1 stage, when we have reached the n minus 1 stage, we have reached the last 2 by 2 system. Therefore I will use this pivot that is here to eliminate this, bring it to 0, and we will have to do only one less of each iteration. So at n minus 1 stage the procedure is complete. The procedure is complete. Now when the procedure is complete, let us see how the matrix looks like. The matrix would therefore be, I would repeat the same thing. Let us write down A11, A12, A13, A1n, B1, that is the first row, 0, A22 of 1, A23 of 1, AN1 of 1, that is equal to B2 of 1. I have a 0, A33 of 2, A3n of 2, B3 of 2, and so on. I will have here as ANN of n minus 1 and Bn of n minus 1. Now this is an upper triangular matrix, and this is the what we were saying, that A can be reduced to the augmented matrix AB is now reduced to an upper triangular matrix and the vector Sz. Now when once we do this, now the solution will be trivial, now that I solve that uz now back substitution. So I can get the value xn from here, I can get xn minus 1 from here, and then therefore back substitution gives the solution x. Back substitution gives x, our vector x.
So we can also eliminate upper one and diagonal elements
The if you do the upper part, then we shall be using elementary column operations. Then you are going to bring it as L into Z, L of Z. So those are the, you are now applying instead of rows, you are applying on the columns. So that means you are going to bring it to a matrix of the form LZ if you do the column operations. Yes, it is possible, but however in computer software elementary column operations is not used, but it can be used, it is defined, well defined. So and that can also be possible. But as a tradition we will not be use the elementary column operations, we shall use only the elementary row operations. Now, one more the observation that can be made here is, at any particular step, in order to make, for example, particularly with hand computation, it is possible for us to, before we do each step, we can make this diagonal element as 1. So, I will first divide throughout by a11, then it will be 1, then I will be multiplying by a21 subtract, a31 subtract, an1 subtract. So, it is possible for us to make the diagonal element as 1 before each step. The diagonal element shall be called as a pivot. So, we shall call the diagonal elements, each diagonal element as the pivots. So, we shall call this as the pivots as the diagonal elements. So, what we stated was that we can make the diagonal elements, we can make the diagonal element as 1, all elements, diagonal elements as 1 before the elimination. Now, as I said that this will be very useful for hand computation when we do this one. Now, the question which I have asked, I will answer it after taking an example of solving it, what happens when you have a pivot as 0 or what we should do other cases. Let us first of all take an example on this and let us see how you can do it. So, let us take an example. Now, let us call it as solve the system. Let us take a 3 by 3 system, 4x1 minus 2x2 plus x3 is 1, 2x1 plus 5x2 minus 3x3 is 9, x1 plus 2x2 4x3 is 9. By Gauss elimination. Now, what I have to do is I have to write down my augmented matrix AB. So, I will write this 4 minus 2 1 1 2 5 minus 3 9 1 2 4 9. So, I will put a line here and this. Now, let us divide the first row by 4. So, I will perform the operation R1 by 4. Then I will have this notation I shall use for the showing that it is an equivalent system. So, what I would get an equivalent system is 1 minus half 1 by 4 1 by 4. So, these elements stay as it is. Now, I would perform the elementary row transformations. I should make these two as 0. So, I must make this transformation. I will write here R2 minus 2 R1. So, from R2 I will subtract 2 times the row R1, and from R3 I just need a subtraction R3 minus R1. If I subtract these two I will get a 0 over here. So, R3 will be replaced by R3 minus R1. Therefore, let us write it 1 minus half 1 by 4 1 by 4. I might subtract 2 times this. So, let us do it here. This is 2 5 and we are multiplying by 2 and this one 5 plus 1, that is equal to 6. So, I will have a 6 over here. Then I have the element minus 3 here and subtracting with a 2, that is equal to minus half. So, I will have here minus 7 by 2. Then I have 9 and multiplying by 2 and subtracting I have minus half. So, I will have 17 by 2 here. Now, the next one is subtract these 2 rows. So, I have a 0 here, 2 plus half, that is 5 by 4, that is 4 minus 1 by 4, 15 by 4, 9 minus 1 by 4, that is 35 by 4. Now, I would again make this diagonal element as 1. So, I would now perform the I should put this here. I will perform the operation R 2 divided by 6, row 2 divide row 2 by 6. Then I will get a system 1 minus half 1 by 4, 0 minus 7 by 12, 17 by 12, 0 5 by 2, 15 by 4, 35 by 4. Now, I need to perform the operation row 3 is row 3 minus 5 by 2 of row 2. So, I have to subtract from here 5 by 2 times this. So, that this will become 0. Then I will have the equivalent system 1 minus half 1 by 4, 0 1 7 by 12, 17 by 12, 0 0. So, this number is we can write down here, this is my 15 by 4 and we are multiplying by minus this. So, we will have plus 35 by 24. So, this is 125 by 24. So, I will have here is 125 by 24. Then let us look at the last element. This is 35 by 4, and minus 5 by 2, that is 85 by 24. So, this is also comes out to be 125 by 24. Now, the system is complete. We have now got our u and z. Therefore, the last variable is x 3 is equal to 1. These two elements are same. So, x 3 is equal to 1. We substitute in the backward direction. So, I will have here x 2 is equal to right hand side 17 by 12, 7 by 12 into 1, that is taking this element to the right hand side, that gives me 2. X 1 is coming from here. So, right hand side is 1 by 4. Now, I am substituting the values. So, take them to the right hand side, half into 2 minus 1 by 4 into 1. This is equal to 1. Therefore, the solution is obtained as 1 2 1 2 1 as our solution vector is your solution vector base 1. Of course, we could as well have done it without dividing the by the pivot, because at every stage we have divided here by the pivot, this pivot 4, we have divided here by pivot 6, then we have divided this by pivot to get this solution of the problem. We could have done it without dividing by the pivot also. Now, but when you are actually doing with hand computation, after one step, I mean 1 or 2 problems you solve, you would notice that I need not have written this particular step, one step in between. So, I could as well have gone with R 1 by 4, assuming that R 1 by 4 is done, then this step, when once you write this one, I need not write these two because there is a repetition. So, I could then apply this transformation itself and get this step straight away. So, that we need not repeat some of the rows that we are going to write here. For example, here also we have repeated this step, we need not have repeated this step. So, when once this is performed, I could immediately go to the next computation as R3 is R3 minus 5 by 2 R1. So, we can avoid some of the steps and get the computation much more faster. Now, you can see the how fast we are able to get solution by using the this Gauss elimination procedure. Now, I would answer the question which you have asked earlier. The procedure would fail if any pivots are 0. At the moment as we are looking at it, we can say if pivot is 0 at any stage, any pivot. So, it is any pivot is 0, the procedure as given fails, as given fails. Not only that, if any pivot is very small, if the pivot is very small, then also we will be having serious difficulties in the solution, because when you are dividing by a very small number, that means we are multiplying by a very large number. Say let us suppose a pivot is 10 to the power minus 6. So, in the next step we are dividing by the pivot, that means we are multiplying by 10 to the power 6. Therefore, the numbers have becomes very large, and therefore, you are introducing tremendous amount of round off error. Therefore, this will produce large round off errors. Large round off errors are produced. Now, when this is the thing, and in fact what is it that the computer software has got is that we shall now go in and also use the other elementary row transformations, that is interchange of rows. So, how we perform it is, we shall call that as the pivoting procedure. So, such a thing is called a pivoting procedure. I would just briefly explain and close it for today. If at any stage pivot is 0 or a very small element, or right from the beginning we can start, so that if you are tackling in a computational procedure smaller numbers, you are at a great advantage, because the amount of round off error will be much less. Only when we are tackling very large numbers, the round off errors becomes more and more. What we do is, we start the first column of in the first step. I will search for the largest element in magnitude, then I will bring that largest element as the pivot. That means, I will interchange the first equation with that equation which has got the largest element in magnitude. That means, it is simple interchange of the equations. Then computation is done. I go to the second step. At the second step, I use the pivot and then compare it with the elements below that in that second column. I am not bothered about the first element, the elements below that. If necessary, I will interchange the elements. Suppose we have a 0, as we are saying, 0 automatically being thrown down. So, it will go to the next some other row. So, this procedure is called a pivoting procedure. In this procedure, we are only interchanging the equations. Therefore, we are not changing the property of the solution of the system, except that the first has become 100th equation. 100th equation has come as the first equation. In the second stage, the second equation might have been thrown as the 105th equation, 105th has come to this portion. So, we are now interchanging the equations only, and we are not touching the position of the variables. So, the solution of the problem when you land up finally is going to the same thing, and in that case we are now completely avoiding this particular failure that may occur, and that is called the partial pivoting procedure. So, that we will describe it next time.